안녕하세요, 여러분의 한국어 선생님 고빌리입니다. If you haven't yet started learning Korean, or maybe you're not sure if you should keep going, then this video is for you. Because learning how to speak Korean fluently is honestly a challenging task that can take years to accomplish. The US Department of State classifies Korean as a level 4 language, their highest level requiring at least 2,200 hours to become proficient. And why would you spend all of that time and effort for no reason? So here are 10 of my best reasons why Korean should be your next language, starting with, well, starting. If you haven't already, it's actually a lot easier than you might think to get started, because while Korean might look like a bunch of strange alien symbols, it's actually an alphabet with 14 basic consonants and 10 vowels known as Hangul. Han meaning Korean and 글 meaning letters. And you can learn Hangul in just a few hours. In fact, I have a free beginner Korean course that you can use to learn it right now. Now, unlike English, the Korean alphabet Hangul was created by one person, King Sejong, and released in 1446. And if you just learn the sounds of each letters, you can read anything written with them. With some exceptions, Hangul does have some pronunciation rules, but they're rules that you can just memorize. Not like in English, where we might get stuff like this. Wait, how do you say this actually? Also, Korean doesn't use any articles like a or the. You don't need to worry about plurals also. So cat and cats are both 고양이. And because the Korean language also contains a large amount of Konglish words, those are Korean words that come from English, you probably already know hundreds of Korean words. Cup? Cup. Pen? Pen. Mechanical pencil? 샤프. Okay, well that one sounds completely different. And not only is it easy to get started, but it's also free. And I made a full guide that you can use for getting started that'll also link in the description below. While I said Korean is easy to get started, it's not easy to master at all, because once you get past the basics, you'll be greeted by politeness levels and titles, passive speech, along with a plethora of verb endings and grammar forms that won't translate nicely into English. And while Korean shares many things in common with several other languages, such as Chinese and Japanese, Korean is what's known as a language isolate, meaning it's not directly related to any of them. And the more Korean you learn, including Korean dialects, the more unique the language becomes. So it's definitely a challenge, but don't let anyone tell you that it's too hard or impossible. And I know plenty of other people like myself who have learned Korean to a fluent level. And while it's a challenge, it's definitely rewarding, not only for improving your memory and cognitive skills, but by learning Korean, you'll also develop the skills that you'll need when you're learning other languages. But Korean is also rewarding because, well, it's fun, and when you know Korean, you get to dive into Korean media. You probably know one of the things I'm going to mention, K-pop. In fact, all Korean music, K-drama and variety shows, Korean movies. If you know Korean, you can enjoy all of these without waiting sometimes weeks or months for English subtitles and translations. Translations that are sometimes flat out wrong. For example, even simple words in Korean like 억울로, 눈치, or 애교 can be completely lost in translation when written in English. So if you really want to understand what's going on, then you should learn Korean. And you can use some of these as learning resources to find new vocabulary words and grammar. So watching Korean TV shows can even become a part of your study sessions if you're taking notes. But not only videos, knowing Korean will also open the door to reading books, poetry, and even webtoons in their original language. You could even learn Korean in Korean, which is especially useful at more advanced levels. Learning Korean isn't only about the language. When you learn Korean, you're also opening yourself up to new experiences, new perspectives, new everything. You'll learn not only how Koreans speak, but also how, and more importantly, why they might behave in certain ways. And learning about their culture will give you a better understanding of the country as a whole. such as not just how to say nice to meet you when you see someone new, but how you might want to bow when you say it. And the more that you learn about Korea, the easier it'll be to make friends and find new opportunities. Also, don't forget about history. Korea has a rich history that I'm still learning about all the time. Actually, it's something I should probably study even more, considering I'm a Korean teacher. Although, in order to understand and appreciate Korean history better, you'll also need to know some Korean. And I'll link to a short summary that I made of Korean history in the description below. Some of my favorite dishes in the world come from Korea. Seriously, if you've never had Korean food before, you don't know what you're missing. And of course, Korea has a whole lot more to offer than just kimchi. I mean, kimchi is really good, but that's just a side dish. In fact, every region of Korea you could visit will also have its own local specialties. For example, I can get amazing bread, yes, pastries and bread, in the city of Daejeon. Or 꼼장어, which legit scared me when I saw it down in the city of Busan. The highest quality Hanu beef in the city of Wonju. Or the best fried chicken I've had in my entire life in the city of Suwon. So you can never really try every kind of food unless you did some sort of food tour all across Korea. I'll think about it. But imagine being able to not only eat your favorite Korean food, but also to order it while speaking in Korean. I do it, and I get free side dishes sometimes. Maybe you're learning to speak Korean for a special someone, but the fact is that regardless of your reasons, once you know some Korean, you can start meeting people and making friends. And many of my best friends are Koreans that I met because I could speak in Korean. Because there are currently about 80 million people around the world who speak Korean, so you're bound to run into at least one of them. And knowing Korean will allow you to make new relationships with friends, colleagues, and even family members. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Billy, but do Koreans want to be friends with me? Good question. Well, most native Korean speakers love when others can use their language. And some are legitimately shocked if you just say 안녕하세요. And as long as you're a generally friendly person, you should have no problem making a friend or two. If you have friends in Korea, you also won't have to travel everywhere alone. And having Korean friends will also allow you to experience Korean culture in a way that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Now, I've talked a lot about new friends, but you also might be learning Korean for someone you already know. Perhaps you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife. And if this is you, then of course you should learn Korean. This was me. My wife speaks Korean, my kid speaks Korean, and I can't imagine my life without either of them. If you're in the same boat, then being able to speak Korean with their parents will also earn you a lot of points. And even if things don't work out and you get rejected, just imagine you can get rejected in Korean. Business can be boring, but we all need money. Please join my Patreon page. And nowadays, Korea has several major companies that operate worldwide. Samsung, Hyundai, and LG are just three of the bigger ones. And if you're trying to get a job at any of these, then having speaks Korean on your resume might just open a few more doors. And not just for jobs in Korea, but at any of their branches in other countries. In addition, government jobs also hire Korean speakers for everything from translation work to sales to secret agents. But at the very least, knowing Korean can make you a more desirable candidate, and you might get a higher salary. And many of the jobs that I've gotten in the past were thanks to speaking Korean. It's about having options. Another option you might want to have, and which many people are doing right now, is living in Korea, because Korea is a popular destination, not just for tourism, but for studying abroad and for business. I mean, I'm in Korea almost a third of every year to film videos for this YouTube channel. And I think that tourists and residents who know more Korean can enjoy being in Korea a lot more. For example, if you're planning to travel to an area outside of a major city, you might need to ask directions if you get lost. Or even if you eat at a local restaurant away from the touristy areas, knowing Korean can come in handy. And the best part about this reason is that for most things, you don't even need to speak fluently. Even some basic phrases will be more than enough in most places that you're likely to visit. For example, saying 감사합니다, ordering food, apologizing, and of course the most important phrase, 화장실은 어디예요? But the more you can speak, the better your experience will be. Back in my day, if you wanted to learn Korean, you had to use a paper dictionary. Actually, I used this electronic dictionary and a really old book, this one actually. And while there have always been books and classes for learning Korean, even just going back 10 years ago, things have gotten a lot better. I mean, remember how cringy my early videos used to be? I did the best I could. When I started YouTube, there were maybe a handful of other active channels teaching Korean. But nowadays, there are hundreds of channels, as well as even more websites and lessons. In fact, if you just visit your local library today, you might find more Korean books there than there were for sale on the entire internet 10 years ago. Maybe that's a stretch, but you get the idea. Whether you're learning Korean for free or planning to buy some materials, you're in good hands. Because although Korean can be difficult, if you ever feel stuck or need any help, just check out some of the videos here on my channel, or check out any of the other hundreds of channels, websites, and books online. And I'll also link to a video that I made where I recommend some of my favorite channels for learning Korean, besides my own, of course. Now, of course, while you can be cool without speaking Korean, looking at you, Mark Hamill, just imagine how much cooler you could be if you also spoke Korean. In all seriousness, I have a lot of respect for others who study Korean because I know just how hard it can be and how much time it takes. And despite how popular Korea and Korean have gotten over the past decade, still compared to other languages, relatively few people are studying Korean. So if you are learning Korean, then in my book, you are cool. And cool people get to have cool experiences through learning and speaking Korean. Not just meeting new friends, traveling to Korea, or doing business, enjoying the culture, the music, Korean food, but also delicious Korean food. Oh wait, I already said Korean food. Last year, one of my American friends who I hadn't spoken to in years randomly called me and mentioned that he was going to Korea to study. And because I am cool, I got to surprise him by telling him that I teach Korean. So we hung out in Korea and were able to connect in a way that we never did before. And while I don't have any more reasons to give you in this video, there's one more thing that I want to say, and that's even though it can take a large amount of time and effort to learn Korean, for myself, it's definitely been worth it. And no matter what your reason is, if you choose Korean, then I'm happy for you. And I'm here to help you if and when you need it. So I hope that you'll make the choice to learn some Korean today. Thank you for watching, and special thanks to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube channel members. Good luck in your studies. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.